Seconds. Victor.
I
have one.
I'm the sound tech person. That is behind it over here. It's over here. Right. What's up?
I was going to say, just pop that up. I got one upstairs. I get exactly. They just no, it's yeah, actually it's employees and I would it's that I tried to buy it like how they have the layers. That's in control and power. It's I just had I'm in the 12 buying bubbles forever. All the access to in the silver cup. Studio City, Culliver City, all of that. And I started cutting. City, I know. Did you? You're there? No. Well, it's so you have now it's a like you line like that the entire time, screaming out the entire time, and when you get in, it's so loud. They have to put signs up to separate because it's so ungodly bad in this. It's the best time ever. I just want to get always like a
Bingo.
every single meeting.
Hello.
Best. Absolutely tune in. You should come out. BOE person.
regularly scheduled meeting to the Star Ledger, express times, and has been posted to the bulletin board by the main office of Franklin Township School, sent to the township clerk, sent to all Board of Education members, and posted on the school website on January 8th, 2026. Mr. Kramer, if you'd be so kind.
Here.
Mr. Cecil.
Here.
Ms. Cummins. Mr. Giordano.
Here.
Mrs. Norton.
Here.
Mr. Norton.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Can I get a motion to approve the above executive session resolution for Franklin Township Board of Education adjourning to closed session to discuss legal matters, wherein the length of time for executive session is expected to be 30 minutes, after which the meeting shall reconvene and proceed with business wherein action may be taken. Can I get a motion? Can I get a second? All in favor? All opposed? Copy that. Then at it's a little dyslexia, a little bit. 5:31, journey, going into executive session. Yep, all right, we are, can I get a motion to reconvene the public portion of the meeting of Franklin Township Board of Education at 6:01 PM? Can I get a second? All in favor? All opposed? Mr. Mark, our board attorney, with board ethics training.
Sorry that my back will be a little bit towards you. So good evening, members of the board, members of the administration. My name is Mark Zittimer. I'm the attorney for the Board of Education. I thank you for having me come to the meeting tonight to discuss this most important topic. We're going to talk about the School Ethics Act and ethics for school officials, and I'll talk about who a school official is within the meaning of the School Ethics Act. It's an important law that governs, I would say, the ethical do's and don'ts for public officials. And the law says that we have to have training on an annual basis. So obviously it's important training, but it also helps us check a box too as well in terms of what we're required to do as a matter of school law. So I always think a good place to start the training is to look at the actual School Ethics Act itself. And what our legislature has said is that in our representative form of government, it's essential that members of local boards of education and administrators hold the respect and the confidence of the people. Officials have to avoid conduct which is in violation of the public trust or which creates a justifiable impression among the public that such trust is being violated. What does all of that mean? It means that the public has to feel confident that when you're sitting at the dais and you're representing the community and you're voting on issues pertaining to the Franklin School District, that you're always being driven by what's best for the students, what's best for the community, what's best for the school district as a whole, not what's best for your own personal interests, not what's best for the interests of your family members or friends or businesses that you're affiliated with. You're always driving forward for the kids and for the school district. That's the impression, and that's what you have to uphold as a Board of Education member. And so not only do board members have to avoid actual conflicts of interest, they also have to avoid what I like to refer to as the appearance of impropriety. So I always tell board members, if somebody's going to reasonably question that you're not acting in the best interest of the school district, but you have a conflict situation, even if it's the appearance of impropriety, not an actual conflict, but the appearance of impropriety, something perhaps doesn't pass what I like to refer to as the smell test, you need to take a step back. You need to ask yourself, is this something that I should recuse myself from? Is this a discussion in closed session that I should step out of the room for? Because I don't want people to question, what is my motivation here? And is it really for what's best for the school district? We'll talk a little bit later about consulting me or even the School Ethics Commission for further advice and guidance if something's gray. And there are things that are gray. I've been doing this a long time. Not every case is open and shut. Not every case is black and white. So there is a process for that. We talked about this slide, which is that the law requires us to discuss ethics at a public board meeting. So we're going to say that we did that tonight. Mark will reflect that in the minutes. Who does the School Ethics Act apply to? Of course, it applies to board members. It applies to officers of the New Jersey School Boards Association. It also applies to school administrators. A lot of people don't know that. It applies to the superintendent, to the BA, to the principal, to those administrators who have decision-making authority about the terms and conditions of employees in the school district. However, the Code of Ethics, I forgot to hand that out, the Code of Ethics within the Ethics Act, thank you, Mark, that only applies to board members. So we've got within the School Ethics Act, thank you, we have the Code of Ethics, and we have the prohibited acts. The prohibited acts are the conflicts. The Code of Ethics, that applies just to board member conduct. Okay. Next. Let's go through some of the provisions of the Code of Ethics. I'm sure as board members at some point, I hope you've at least familiarized yourself with these to some degree. So Section A says essentially board members have to follow the law. Pretty self-explanatory, right? You got to follow court orders pertaining to the school. You have to uphold the law. You have to follow the law. And I'm here as your legal counsel to help you make sure that you understand the laws. The laws are complicated. If you can see that book over there sitting on the desk in front of under my phone there, that's the school laws of the state of New Jersey. It's probably, and every year I get that book from the new edition, and it's probably a quarter of an inch thicker than the year before. I think by the time I retire, the book is going to look like this, but that book is probably 1,000 pages. So there's a lot of school laws governing how we operate as a school. So upholding the law. Section B, making decisions in terms of the educational welfare of all kids. You're here for everybody, regardless of race, creed, national origin, and so forth. You're here to represent everybody. Section C, this really defines what it is to be a Board of Education member. So when somebody says, hey, I see you got a vacancy on the board, what does the board do? You're a policy-making body. You set policy for the district, you plan for the future, and you appraise. You take a step back and say, how are we doing? What can we do better? A lot of boards that I represent set goals. They set district goals, and at the end of the year, they take a look at those things and say, hey, we set the following goals. What did we do well? What didn't we do well? What do we want to have as our goals for next year? Policy-making, planning, and appraisal. If anybody asks you what you do as a board member. Section D says you will carry out your responsibility not to administer the schools. You're not administrators. That's what you have administration here for, to run the day-to-day operations of the district. You're here to not run the district, to make sure it is well run. Does that make sense? Not to run it, but to make sure it is well run. And the superintendent and the BA report out to you on things that are happening in terms of their day-to-day operation of the school district. The law talks about, what does somebody have to prove? If somebody were going to say that somebody violated the administration of the schools provision, for instance, every code section has a separate corresponding section showing what somebody would have to prove to show a violation. I just thought for illustrative purposes, it would be helpful to show what it means to administer the school in terms of the eyes of the School Ethics Commission, because this is a provision that board members often get jammed up with. They get on the board and all of a sudden they think they're going to be running the show around here, and that is absolutely not the case. So to show a board member administered the schools, you'd have to show that a board member gave a direct order to school personnel or became directly involved in activities or functions that are the responsibility of school personnel or the day-to-day administration of the school district. Here's an extreme case that came out in 2005 where a Board of Education member decides during the school day, he's literally school's going on, he decides to go to the guidance secretary, demands that she start preparing all kinds of reports for him. Then he heads down, again, in the middle of the school day to the locker room and starts telling the gym teachers how they should do a better job supervising the kids. And he starts basically trying to run the gym class, essentially. And the School Ethics Commission clearly found that that was a violation of the school code of ethics in terms of administering the schools. Again, a pretty extreme case. Section E says you recognize your authority rests with the board and that you're not going to make personal promises or take private action that could compromise the Board of Education, meaning you have the authority to act through your various committees. You have the authority to act when you're here at a duly convened meeting. But once you leave this room, you do not have authority to bind the board, to speak for the board, again, unless it's authorized by the board as a whole. If I'm going too quickly, tell me. If you have any questions along the way, just jump in. Okay. Section F says you're going to refuse to surrender your independent judgment to special interest groups or partisan political groups or use the school for personal gain or for the gains of friends. I think that's pretty obvious. Confidentiality. Yes, please.
Because local community members often like to say, you're working on behalf of such and such group. Can you define what working on behalf of a group is like?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. The slide says you're to refuse to surrender your independent judgment. That means that you've kind of lost all judgment and you're kind of being the puppet of some other organization or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't mean, this does not mean that as a board member, you can't advocate, for instance, if you're passionate about special ed issues or you're passionate about sports. That is not surrendering your independent judgment. That is not what this means. This basically means that, look, you've lost all objectivity whatsoever and you're kind of beholden to somebody else, to a political group, to a special interest group. That's what this is forbidding.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
It did for me.
Okay.
I hope it did for other people.
Yeah, okay.
Who are making those sorts of.
Yeah, it's a strong accusation to make.
It's
And
made very frequently.
yeah,
Very frivolously.
yeah, that's too bad.
in Spaces these days, which is why I wanted to pause on it and ask for a legal opinion on deep diving into the definition of that.
Yes.
Because I think it is unfortunate how often you are passionate about this means You are no longer an independent person and now you're somebody's marionette.
Being passionate about something is different than surrendering your independent judgment. And I think you have to read this in conjunction with the other slide, which says that even if you're passionate about one group or another, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be here for everybody, because that's what the ethics requires as well. Yeah.
Thank you for pausing on this. And
Yeah, please.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Again, like I said, jump in at any point in time. Confidentiality is a huge part of being a board member. You're privy to a lot of confidential information. The law says we can discuss those things, as you know, in closed session. That's allowed by law. I always stress to my board clients in the strongest terms possible that you need to maintain confidentiality, okay? Your friends are not subject to the Ethics Act. Your family members aren't subject to the Ethics Act, unless you're on the board together, of course. But basically, you have to keep things confidential. And I always tell my board clients that if the board as a whole doesn't feel confident that what's discussed in closed session stays in closed session, because as soon as the meeting's over, everybody knows you said that and you said this, it completely undermines your ability to be an effective body, because nobody's going to want to have open and honest debate about anything, because they know as soon as the meeting's over, everybody's going to know what this person. So please, I implore you, respect confidentiality. It is so important. It exposes the district to tremendous liability too. If you're talking about things you shouldn't be talking about, if you're breaching confidentiality, there's serious legal implications. So again, they're all super important, but that's very important. The other part of Section G says you have to provide accurate information. So we'll talk about board member First Amendment rights. You have a right to speak about issues, but just make sure when you're talking about board issues to whoever it is, you're providing accurate information. You got to be accurate. And if you're not sure about something, check it first and then speak later would be my advice. Section I, you have to vote the best qualified people after considering the superintendent's recommendation. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot appoint somebody without the recommendation of the superintendent, but you have a right to ask questions. You're not a rubber stamp. The Code of Ethics cases say that you're allowed to actually go in and look at applications and resumes for people that are being recommended for employment. That's your right, because it does say you have to appoint the best qualified people after considering the superintendent's recommendation. There's another section of school law, it's not in the Ethics Act, that says the board should not withhold its approval of the superintendent's recommendation. It says for arbitrary and capricious reasons. So in other words, you should generally support personnel recommendations for the people that really did the vetting, and you shouldn't withhold your approval for some arbitrary reason, is what it says. Section I, supporting and protecting school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. You're not allowed to evaluate staff members publicly. You're not allowed to discuss staff members in closed session unless they've been provided with a Rice notice. To prove a violation, somebody would have to show that a board member took action which resulted in undermining, opposing, compromising, or harming school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. Again, just to digress, an extreme case that I always remember because I can't even believe it. A board member had a Facebook page and they said, here is the local terrorist who destroys dreams and burns futures. And then when you clicked on the link, a picture of the superintendent appeared. Again, that was found, believe it or not, to be an ethics violation. That is not supporting, and supporting school personnel was not Ms. Aquino, by the way. So Section J, I love Section J because, and you should love it too, by the way. This is the section that when you're in the local supermarket and somebody comes up to you and says, Mr. Giordano, you're on the Board of Ed. I got a complaint. My kid's teacher is giving too much homework. It was up till 12 o'clock last night. You know, can you handle my problem? This is the part where the board members punt. That's what Section J says. You're supposed to say, thank you very much. Yes, I'm on the board. I'll refer to Ms. Aquino, and I promise she'll get back to you in 24 hours. You're supposed to refer complaints to the chief school administrator and act on those only after the failure of an administrative solution, which would never happen with Ms. Aquino, so you're in great shape. How about who can file a complaint? So if anybody believes an ethics violation has taken place, who can file a complaint? Anybody. Anybody can file a complaint. You don't have to be a board member. You don't even have to live in town. The board as an entity can't file a complaint against a member, but individual board members can. Is there a time period by which you have to file the complaint, or is it barred after a certain period of time? 90 days. Anybody want to guess again?
No, there is.
180 days, 6 months.
Oh.
There's a 6-month statute of limitations. It used to be a year, by the way. It used to be a year, but I think the School Ethics Commission was getting so many complaints, they actually shortened the window, and God only knows, maybe they'll even shorten it more. Maybe it'll be like 5 days or something like that in the future. The School Ethics Commission is the only entity that can determine whether somebody's conduct violated the School Ethics Act. Anybody know who comprises the School Ethics? Like, who's this mystical body, the School Ethics Commission? Anybody know anything about it?
Isn't it like 9 volunteers?
Ooh, Matt, you did your homework. Right. So there's nine people. What's that?
We're applying together.
There's 9 people on the School Ethics Commission appointed by the governor. I think there's, don't quote me on this, but I think there's 5 community members. There's 3 administrators and like 3 board members. Is that up to 9? No, that doesn't add up to 9. It's like 5, 2, and 2. 5 community members, 2 administrators, and I think 2 board members are on the School Ethics Commission. They're the ones who make these decisions. They're represented by the Deputy Attorney General, so they actually have a lawyer consulting them and probably writing a lot of their opinions and that sort of thing. We can request an advisory opinion from the School Ethics Commission. So if there's ever a question about a course of conduct, you're not sure whether to do something, I always recommend you reach out to me first. But if that's not helpful for whatever reason, you could always go to the School Ethics Commission and request an advisory. Hey, I'm proposing to do this, or should I sit down in this discussion? They will give you an advisory opinion. The only time I ever went to the School Ethics Commission, I had a really interesting case. I represent a high school district. Yeah, I'll get to you in 1 second. So I represent a high school district where a senior got elected to the board. Literally a high school senior, 18, got elected to the board. And the client called me and said, Mark, can this kid, can he vote on his teachers? Can he vote on, we have a student hearing coming, like, what can this person do? And I scratched my head and I said, you know something, we better write to the School Ethics Commission because this is completely uncharted water. And they sent a very detailed opinion back with the do's and the don'ts. Colleen, did you have a question?
I did. It's interesting that you brought up high school students. That happened in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah?
A couple years ago as well.
Okay.
And I followed it for a little while as they tried to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating enough for me to keep looking into, but I fell off
Yeah.
having the time to do it. But it's interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that would be something that an 18-year-old
I know.
want to do, but it apparently has happened.
Yeah.
In New Jersey and Pennsylvania, probably has happened in other states. I wanted to stay on this bullet point though, and my question was, can you talk to this team about when to call NJSBO?
Mhm.
When to call you through Matt or through Jen, because we're not authorized to pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah.
That's not an option.
Well, it is a
And
little bit of an
to call
option.
Someone else. Like,
Yeah.
maybe talk about the different avenues that we have in NJSBA, our field rep being one of them. Just to help clarify that.
The field reps are great on some of the governance issues to reach out to school board rep on some of the governance stuff. For the legal stuff, of course, I'm biased. I think you should be reaching out to me. You're right. Board members are generally not allowed to control costs, contact me, but I have a rule in a lot of my districts where if you have some burning legal question, you reach out to the board president, you kind of give him or her an overview of what it is, and the board president will say, yeah, I have no problem. You call Mark, but keep it to, 20 minutes or half an hour. If it was up to Mark, it would be 3 minutes. But you get the gist. They have the legal stuff. Yes, they do. And most of the times, yep, exactly. Most.
Where the gray area ambiguity came in that, like.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So in my experience with the NJSBA attorney of the day, they don't like giving legal advice. So they may give you just a general flavor of the issue, but then they'll usually conclude the call by saying, you get, exactly.
The punchline of all of their advice is this ain't legal advice.
Go talk to your attorney.
They go, well, why did I call an attorney?
Yeah.
They go, well, that's not.
Yeah.
I get your point. One
Yeah.
question I had to ask is this: if you ask for an advisory opinion and don't follow it, doesn't that carry more weight on what further decisions will be from them?
100%. And that's why sometimes I say to board members, if something's a little bit gray and we can make an argument one way or another, the knee jerk sometimes, well, let's go to the School Ethics Commission. If you go to the School Ethics Commission, to your point, you better follow whatever it is that they give you. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
But if you tell them that you broke.
Yeah, sometimes it's better. Again, I'm not saying not to ask the question, but sometimes you're better coming to me where there's no formal written documentation out there as to, where to go, because you're right, Matt. Once you ask, you better follow. And if you don't, it's going to be problematic. So what are the penalties for violating the Ethics Act? You got a reprimand at the light end of the spectrum. That's a little slap on the wrist. You'll get a letter from them saying, hey, shame on you. Don't do it again. It's not public generally. A censure is public. It's a resolution. I had to do this in one of my districts in Morris County a month or two ago, where we actually had to read like a full one-page resolution against a board member who was found to have violated the act. It was embarrassing. It lists her name. It lists what she did. We got to post it on our website, I think, where we have posted on the bulletin. It's just not good. It's not a good look. Suspension, obviously, from the board, and in the most extreme cases, removal. Can you file an ethics complaint against somebody if they're no longer on the Board of Education? What do you think? Anybody think yes?
I think, yeah.
There you go. As long as it's within the 6 months. Obviously, suspension is not going to be an option. Removal is not going to be an option, but yes, you could, as long as it's within that 6 months. I want to talk a little bit about indemnification. Now, I'm pivoting a little bit from the School Ethics Act for a second. New Jersey law says, and the legislature was smart about this because you were all volunteers, and you might say, why am I getting on a Board of Education if I could be sued, or if I could be the subject of an ethics case and I got to go hire a lawyer to defend myself and pay that out of pocket for this volunteer job? Well, the legislature thought of that. And what they said was that if a complaint is filed against a board member for something that happened during the course of your duties as a board member, the board has to provide you with a defense. They have to provide you with a lawyer. They have to provide you with representation. A lot of boards have insurance for this. So I want you to sleep well tonight when you leave, thinking to yourself that if you were the subject of an ethics case, you have to have the defense paid for by the Board of Education. And by the way, even if you're guilty of what it is that you're accused of, you're still entitled to indemnification as long as it arose during something you did as a board member. If you voted on something hypothetically at a board meeting where you had a clear conflict of interest, you voted to appoint your brother to be the superintendent, clear conflict, and somebody filed an ethics case against you, which they probably should, you will be entitled to indemnification for that, even though you're guilty as the day is long. The only time you have to be innocent to be indemnified is if somebody filed a criminal complaint against you as a board member. There, you actually have to be vindicated of the criminal wrongdoing. But for every other type of case, you don't have to be right or wrong. The standard is it something you did in your capacity as a board member? Does that make sense?
In criminal cases, have you found on ethics complaints that you've had to work in your career?
Very few, very few. It's usually a fight between two board members, or a board member and a community member after a board meeting where a board member punches somebody in the head and they get a complaint. That's kind of.
Punch is an act of the board.
I would say that you'd have to be exonerated for that, criminally speaking. And then there'd be a question. You're right, Matt. Is that something that really arose out of your duties as a, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say the board would probably be within the rights, even if the person was exonerated. I don't know. It'd be a close, like I said, some of this stuff is gray. Yeah. So, but I just wanted you to be aware, we're talking about complaints and violations and all kinds of stuff, that there is an obligation to indemnify you, because quite frankly, nobody would ever run for a board knowing they'd be out of pocket for these things. I talked briefly about free speech rights. You don't surrender your First Amendment rights by being on the Board of Education, of course, but there's constraints. You can't disclose confidential information. You have to make sure that what you're saying is accurate. You can't say things that could compromise the Board of Education. The other thing you need to be aware of is that and this comes out of the School Ethics Commission, is that when you speak about, say you're somebody who likes to go on X or post on social media and you want to talk about a board issue, you have to have a disclaimer, because the public has to know that you're speaking as an individual citizen, not on behalf of the Board of Education. That's key. So if you're going to give a speech to an organization, if you're going to post on social media about an issue that's tied to the Franklin School District, you need to have a disclaimer. And what does the School Ethics Commission say the disclaimer should say? It should say that the following statements are made by me in my capacity as a private citizen and not in my capacity as a board member. These statements are also not representative of the board or its individual members and solely represent my own personal opinions. That way the public is clear that XYZ board member is speaking not on behalf of the board, but this is their own individual personal opinion. Okay?
All the time, like, we're just talking about like a general school issue, not this particular school.
I would be careful. You're a board member. It's an education issue. I would have a disclaimer. If you said to me, Mark, I'm talking about, Eric Wewell resigning in California, I would say you don't need a disclaimer on that because that has nothing to do, bless you, with the school district. So anything that's kind of tied to education, I would probably err on the side of using it. Jim.
We talk a lot about like not local politics, but local taxation, structures, things of that sort. And I always add that in if I'm posting something, even though it's not directly to the board.
Yeah, you're erring on caution.
It's better to spread the peanut butter thing.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. So how about some cases that have come down this past year from the School Ethics Commission? Let me get your take on some of these things. So did a board member violate section, and this is why I hand out this thing to you tonight, the Ethics Act sections. Did a board member violate B and C of the Ethics Act? B and C is school officials using their official position to secure unwarranted privileges or advantages for themselves, members of their family, or others, or school officials acting in an official capacity where the board member has a direct or indirect personal or financial involvement. So did a board member violate that when she asked the superintendent to provide a sworn statement on her behalf in response to an ethics complaint that was filed against the board member? So here's the facts. A complaint is filed against a board member. The board member thinks that the complaint is baloney and says to the superintendent, hey, you were there. Would you mind providing a statement that I could submit to the School Ethics Commission, kind of explaining exactly what happened? Somebody got wind of the fact that the board member asked the superintendent to support her by providing a statement, and they filed an ethics complaint. Do you think that was a violation or not a violation? Anybody think it was not a violation? Why did you say so assertively, Matt? I heard Colleen say no.
Your not superior. I don't want to say underling, but you're asking a person underneath of you.
Direct report.
Thank you. Asking your direct report to write a letter of recommendation for you or something.
Yeah.
That's where it matters. Are you asking for a recommendation or are you asking them to say this is what it does? You're asking for a statement of fact. I don't see an issue.
If we were in court, I'd argue that's a distinction without a difference, but sure.
But actually, Colin is right. That was the distinction in the School Ethics Commission. That was it. They said, look, it was purely a factual issue. Purely a factual. We're just asking you to assert facts of what happened. Not to give an opinion or whatever, but I could, honestly, when I read this, I felt the same thing you did, because I thought, something, the superintendent is now under pressure, right? You're the board president, you're a board member, you're now asking the superintendent to kind of get into the fray on this. And what choice does the superintendent have? They're going to be recommended for a contract renewal in the future, whatever it is. It just doesn't feel right. So I can understand why you said what you said.
I got 500 employees who write me a swimming report.
Oh, I'm sure.
None of them like me.
Right.
They'll write me the best report. That's what feels weird about it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. How about this one? Did a board president violate section E of the Code of Ethics, which says that this is the ethics section now, not the conflict section. E is recognizing your authority rests with the board and not making personal promises or taking private action that could compromise the board. When the board president unilaterally canceled a board meeting in which a large public presence was expected. So they said, something, board president, you shouldn't have canceled the meeting. And we think this is a violation of section E of the Code of Ethics by you taking private action, essentially. What do you think? Oh, thank you. Yes, meeting. Cancel the board. Yeah, right. It shouldn't say cancel the board meeting member. It should say cancel the board meeting. Right, exactly. Yeah, no, I didn't mean cancel the member. What do you think?
False. I don't think they violated that.
I don't think it's the ethics. I think it's procedural.
Yeah, they said it was not a violation of the ethics. Maybe the board president should have consulted with but at the end of the day, certainly not an ethics violation, right? How about this one? A board member previously worked as a security officer in the district 3 years prior to becoming a board member. Very critical when he was a security officer of the superintendent. There's a question about whether he got non-renewed by the superintendent, then gets on the Board of Ed 3 years later. Is that security officer now conflicted having to do with anything involving the superintendent? What do you think?
No.
Okay, why?
Demonstrate a like Jim. I don't think that Jim likes. Jen is not enough to go on to say that that board member is cut off at the knees to make any decisions moving forward.
You've been studying, Colleen. You're right. The answer is these slide should blow up, by the way, with the true or false. It's false. It's not a conflict. And what the School Ethics Commission said is the fact that the board member submitted a resignation letter outlining perceived adverse actions by the superintendent, including dissatisfaction with changes in the individual's job position and salary, or his admitted vocal opposition to the superintendent, does not mean that he or she can't exercise independence of judgment or otherwise be objective in matters related to the superintendent or her employment. Moreover, the board member did not become a member of the board until 3 years after his resignation, which is a sufficient amount of time to have lapsed. And there's nothing in your request to suggest that he ran for the seat on the board with a personal vendetta against the superintendent. It did kind of leave open the question if this person just got, non-renewed in May and now they're back on the board, 3 or 4 months later, maybe the outcome would have been different, but 3 years and for all the reasons that you stated. Yeah. How about 4? A board member who employs a district teacher to tutor his child or her child is conflicted from being a member of the board's negotiation committee while she's employing the teacher as her teacher as the child's tutor. What do you think of that? Board member decides to have a teacher in the district tutor their child. Are they conflicted on anything having to do with the negotiations? What do you think? False? Does anybody think true? I heard it true from Sylvia. You heard it true. Yeah, it's true. The answer is true. And what the School Ethics Commission said was, Commission notes that board members should also recuse from any and all matters relating to the teacher's employment while the teacher is employed as board member A's child's tutor. Should a matter come before the board that involves the teacher, board member A should not participate in any discussions or votes related to same. This includes, but not limited to, all matters related to the local union, as well as to employees who directly supervise the teacher. Furthermore, board member A should not be a member of the negotiations committee while he or she is employing the teacher as the child's tutor, regardless of whether there's any currently pending board-related actions that would impact the teacher. And so bottom line, you shouldn't be hiring, you're really conflicting yourself out a lot of things by employing a teacher in the district. I think it's a bad idea anyway. You're a board member, go find a teacher in another district. It's just so much easier and cleaner, right? A couple more and then we're done. A board member who received signatures on her nominating petition to run for the board from district administrators who live in town is conflicted from matters relating to the employment of those administrators. True or false? You think it's okay? Anybody think it's a problem? It was okay. The answer is not. It was a false. And what the School Ethics Commission said was that the commission notes that signing a petition in their private capacity as individuals who live in the community in and of itself is not enough to present a conflict for board member A and for board member B. Absent any additional facts which are not present here, it can't be assumed that board member A and board member B will have surrendered their independent judgment to the administrators. So again, asking for some signatures on a petition was not a conflict of interest. How about this one? A board member violated section B of the Code of Ethics, which says that you make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of all children, regardless of race, religion, social standing, etc., when the board member voted no on a resolution reaffirming the district's stance on inclusion for all teachers. So resolution comes up before the board, and the resolution basically says, we support all kids. We love all kids. We're here for all kids, inclusion for everybody. And the board member voted no, because he had certain issues with certain groups being included, I guess, in that resolution. Violation or not a violation? Matt said no.
I don't feel like we should get to that. I was like, why did we vote that? What was the purpose of the no vote? But
Because he didn't believe that all of
he
the
didn't believe that all children
should be somehow included.
Well, then
Yeah.
Not a very nice person,
wrong.
but that will be violated.
It was not a violation. Not a violation. Okay. And you have to think about this for a second. There are lots of cases before the School Ethics Commission involving votes, right? Boards not voting to support the XYZ curriculum, and they file ethics cases against board. The commission routinely holds that how you vote as a board member is your prerogative. It is not an ethics. You may not agree with it, but it is not an ethics violation. And that was kind of the point of this slide. Final question of the night. A board member with a podcast focusing on the town council. So he's got a podcast, and the board member's podcast is about the town council. Violated section I of the Code of Ethics, which is supporting and protecting school personnel, when he described the complainant, who was a supervisor in his school district where he was a board member and president of the town council, as a tyrant, a narcissist, and creepy. Was that not supporting and protecting school personnel? Now, keep in mind, he was criticizing him, his little hint, he was criticizing him in his capacity as a town council president. He happened to be an employee in the board member's own school district. So do you think that was a violation?
I'm going to say personally yes, because they are an employee, and you can say it's, you can slice and dice what you're criticizing them for, but at the end of the day, if you call them an employee, tyrant, narcissistic, and creepy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have done it, but, we all wear different hats, and if we were.
Did he have like a disclaimer?
No,
Did not?
did not.
He did not clarify that he was calling him the person B's name in capacity of the role.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the whole podcast that this board member had was all about, it was like about the town council. So it was pretty clear when he was calling him a narcissist, tyrant, and creepy, he was talking about him in his capacity as the council president. Council president. Yeah, yeah. So this one you're struggling with a little bit.
Yeah, because.
I heard a
when
no.
you wear different hats, it becomes very gray.
Colin says you can't really distinguish the two. He's still an employee, even though he's a councilman, and you still have an obligation. At the end of the day, they said it was not a violation. They said he really wasn't criticizing him in his capacity as an employee. It was clear that he was talking about him in his capacity as councilman, and just because he was a supervisor, he was not, he wasn't talking about him in his capacity as an employee in the district where the board member was a member. So not a violation. These cases are tricky. Look, I've been doing this a long, that's why I said at the beginning, this is gray, and I've been doing this a long time. I read these cases and I go, oh, clear violation, and then I read it, not a violation, or the other way around, you know? So,
What was the name of the podcast?
Well, I'm taking a screenshot, right? Okay.
yeah, by the way,
Podcast.
yeah, that'd be great.
No, seriously, this is insane.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is insane. I just.
Keep in mind with everything I talked about today, all these slides, I'm taking like some of these cases, by the way, I should have mentioned this before. You can go on the School Ethics Commission website, all these cases, all these advisors, they're all out there. So I'm taking sometimes 30-page decisions and I'm distilling them down, as you know, to like a sentence or two. So you're right. Somebody said it before. There's got to be a lot more factual information. We'd be here all night. So yes, if you're interested, and that's why I put the sites at the bottom. If you're interested in reading more, you can go on the School Ethics Commission website.
Both these stories could be their own podcast.
Yeah,
Like you could take two of these.
absolutely. Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns about anything I talked about? Okay, again, if anything comes up along the way, I'm here to help you. With the board's president's blessing, you can reach out to me. If not, through the administration or whatever, I'm happy to weigh in if any ethical questions come up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I want 10% of that podcast.
I love it.
All right, and thank you, Mr. Zedemore. Going on to board action, can I get a motion to approve action item 7, alpha through beta, approval of minutes and professional services auditor? Can I get a second? We could do this on a voice vote. Let's, all in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Moving right along. Passes. The star of the show, Mrs. Aquino,
Oh,
our CSA report.
yes, thank you. We have a lot of good things going on here. On Monday, March 30th, we had the distinct honor of inducting our newest members into the National Junior Honor Society right here in this room under the wonderful direction of Mrs. Andrea Check. The evening was beautifully organized and led by our own students. A true celebration of their dedication and hard work, and congratulations to all of our new inductees. At the end of March, we held our kindergarten roundup, And we couldn't be more excited to already welcome our newest learners to the Franklin family, including our returning preschoolers who are ready to take the next big step. At our most recent faculty meeting, we had the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Robert Sensei from the Department of Education School Safety Office, who led an informative presentation, obviously, on school safety and the things that we can do and the small little tweaks that we can do to make the school even safer and better. No April Fool's joke here, but on April 1st, I had the pleasure of handing over the reins to our principal for the day, Gianna Cascicelli. Gianna won the coveted spot through our Tricky Tray raffle held during the play, and she did a fantastic job stepping into the role. And please mark your calendars for this Friday, our annual Staff versus Students volleyball game. You won't want to miss. Come out and cheer your favorites. And I wrote in here, rumor has it that the PTA's ice cream last year I had it and it was fantastic. But will it make a comeback? I think I already have the answer to that, and it's not a happy answer. So, but there are plenty of other snacks and treats at the game.
Officially promised no ice cream.
It
When you
was
built it up
so
and then just
good
rug
last year.
carpeted everyone.
I don't
Wow.
think it's gonna make a comeback this year, but there are plenty of other treats and sweets that will be there on
Well,
Friday night. Come out and cheer for your students and staff.
thank you for ending on a high note. Mr. Kramer, floor is yours. Thank you.
He's attaching it too.
Is it on?
All right. We have a few items on the agenda tonight. The first four are monthly ones, the financial reports for March, transfer reports for March, the bill list for March, and the use of facilities. Letter E, approving the lunch prices for next year, breakfast and lunch program. Those prices have a 25-cent price increase to them. Our 3-year program with the school health insurance fund is expiring June 30th. This resolution will allow us to stay with them for another 3 years. That's our health insurance fund. Letter G, approving a contract, awarding a contract, I'm sorry, for the parking lot improvements with the alternate. The board received one bid. The bid was for $1,073,750. The alternate was $69,000. Total bid was $1,142,750. The original budget for the bid was $1,120,000. The difference is $22,750 over that original budget. The original scope was changed in order to have the conduit for the generator installed. This modification is expected to reduce the generator budget by more than the $22,750. So net, it's in our favor. The architect reviewed the bid, found it to be complete and in conformance with the project manual requirements. The board attorney has reviewed, not Mr. Zinnemer, but the board attorney has reviewed the bid and found it to be in good form. One bid. That got me nervous.
Okay. Not a bad bid, but just
I'm sorry.
one, I said not a bad bid, but one bid.
That
That's a,
scared me.
yep.
Like, not gonna have a choice here. The current projections for revenue and expenditures through June 30th are looking good. For the site improvement project, the construction should start on or about June 22nd. The substantial completion is expected to be August 16th. The new generator is on hold until the board informs administration to start moving forward again. Administration will be increasing pay to play, mentioned at the last report from me, like the last, oh no, had to be 2 meetings ago, because I wasn't here at the last meeting, was I? Administration is increasing pay to play from $100 to $150 for next year. The current proposed budget for next year is showing, of course, school sponsored athletic at $41,000. while pay-to-pay generates approximately 11,000.
What would be the loss after the move?
100 to 150, because we're still gonna have a loss.
I'm sorry?
What, we have a loss right now at $100. 150 doesn't sound like it's gonna cover that loss.
When you say loss, you're referring it to the 41,000?
Yeah, the 41,000
Okay, this is to help support the program. It's not
to cover
make it
that
break
loss.
even.
Okay.
Correct.
got
Loss
it.
is the wrong word. It's utilization.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Administration has placed the order for the theater projector and screen and is now coordinating the installation. The Finance Committee continued discussing the financial conditions of the food service program. The district has joined a farm to school program, which will provide New Jersey farm fresh food to our food service program. This is a cost neutral program. It's a reimbursement program. The district will get billed, but then you submit it to the state and the state will make the reimbursement. There's a minimum order in order to have the products delivered to the school. Our needs probably will not meet that minimum order. And the reason why I'm getting to little detail, Mashdo's has volunteered to pick up and deliver these products at no cost to the district because it's at a low cost and delivery would not be free. Thought that was nice of them.
Great news.
I already mentioned that the resolution is going to be, has the food, the cost of the breakfast and lunch program increasing by 25 cents. Administration is recommending the replacement of the maintenance shed, which is located on the south side of the building, where it's located inside the playground area. We're estimating the cost to be no more than $10,000. We would demolish the existing shed and have it carted away and purchase and install a new shed on the existing concrete pad that is located on the south side of the building, right next to the building. So it's not going to be replaced where it is. It's going to open that area so you could actually see the whole playground, and it will be placed on that concrete pad. I'm not sure if you all know where that is, but it's right against the building. That ends my report. Would the committee members like to elaborate on anything? And are there any questions from any board members? Hearing none, thank you.
Will we be carrying up will the concrete pad remain in the playground area once that shed is removed?
I actually don't know. Is there a concrete pad under?
I would just assume.
I'm thinking there is. I was gonna guess not. Okay.
It can't be sitting on soft ground,
Gotcha.
right?
But later consideration anyway.
Maybe it is.
The one thing I just wanted to point out that you brought up was us renewing with our insurance company. That was the insurance company that kept us at 21% while everyone was at 31% this year.
Yes.
It's just worth saying out loud. It's worth staying in whatever system he found for us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't take on as many torpedoes this year as everyone else because you made that choice back when it's worth saying and we appreciate it. Any other questions? Easy breezy. President's report. My computer's broken, so this will be from the hip. I attended the Sending District Leadership Meeting that North Hunterdon hosted. Great people, great neighbors. It was great to meet everyone. The conversation inevitably circled around regionalization. I'm reporting back, being realistic. It's tough. I wouldn't exactly say I left there feeling a love connection. Everyone definitely understood the issues and the situations when it came to individual schools. But Colleen joined me there. I wouldn't say that I walked away going, regionalization will be a top #1 option for us in the next 3 years. I think there are districts considering it. But the conversation seems so far away from the reality of what would need to be done in order to make that happen. There will still be a regionalization study that's conducted. There are now 6 institutions that attached. One right after this leadership meeting. Don't expect any real results from that we're talking a year to 2 years is what the room kind of agreed to. And that's my report on that. We'll have updates as it comes along, but I would make that a C or D option when it comes to our near long-term planning, so to speak. Let's call it our middle range planning. But great people. It was really nice being in a room full of people who understood the types of weapons that have been stabbed into me over the past couple of years. These people they've been through they go through the same thing that we did. And a great few conversations I had with some presidents was about referendums and bond usage and what worked for their communities. And you'd be really surprised by how some of our neighbors have $25 million referendums in order to solidify their schools. Our troubles are tough, but we're not alone is the way of saying it. And it'll take more of a mandate or an act of a group of people to make an idea this big happen. But all credit to North Hunterdon, the superintendent, the board president, all of them for hosting it. And it was a great event. Please do.
A couple of points for the community, just as we consider what that looks like moving forward. This was the first time that all of these communities have come together in years, is what I understand.
Well said. Yeah, it was the first time in at least 4 years.
Vice presidents have not come together in this sort of a roundtable forum for years. This happened, but they also did already reach out and ask for folks to fill out a spreadsheet, share your contact information. I believe that Brendan is already starting to consider and plan an additional roundtable conversation for later on this year.
Yep.
While we didn't see what we wanted to see in adoption of thought leadership in the regionalization space, it was really, really good to bring everyone together. And I don't think that it's going to stop.
No,
I just wanted to highlight the
well said.
opportunities moving forward to
No,
continue
100%.
conversation, because you alluded to it, but I wanted to be a little bit more pointed.
There was
in calling it out.
conversations about different ideas that we could task superintendents and BAs with for some cost savings, transportation. And there was a communal atmosphere. I definitely think that they're going to have another meeting before the end of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a twice a year, 3 times a year thing, because while these districts are small, it was nice to be in a room full of people because you didn't feel that much alone.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues. And all appreciation to the superintendent and the BA and the board president over at North Hunterdon for putting it together.
Absolutely.
Pivoting, Mark already touched on it, replacing a utility shed. Just another thing that we feel is broken down, and we're actively trying to replace anything that we possibly can. New board member search. We've gone on over some rules with Mark over here. We are currently accepting applications that are sent to the other Mark, or that's the wrong way of saying it, Mark K and Mark with a C. As of right now, the plan will be to receive those applications for a new board member up until and through May 1st at 5, whatever the rules we set out for it. The idea would be to host that interview at our regular board meeting on May 6th. If you know anyone that's interested, please encourage them. It's I'd say what, a 7-month, it's a very short,
The seat will be on the November ballot.
the better way of saying it, the seat will be on the November ballot, but if someone's interested in getting involved, learning, it's a great window to download as much information and prepare yourself if you wanted to run next year. And we look forward to whoever that is. CSA evaluation process, we're going to start beginning in late April, May, for it to be completed through June. What type of programs and stuff, that's the word I'm looking for, what's the evaluation?
Are we using it in JSBA's?
We'll talk about it with Colleen. I'm kind of putting it on policy and personnel to lead it, but I have some emails to send you for the structures of doing it.
Yeah, let's do a quick connect on that. Unless the team is not amenable to it, I think NJSBA's standard evaluation is policy has already talked about and would like to recommend as.
I have no problem with
But
that
I-
without
I-
having any other
I just
information.
need majority commitment
Sure.
that we're gonna take it seriously and fill it out properly.
Gotcha.
It's very different from what we've done in past years where, obviously our previous superintendent was not sitting in a Franklin Township contract. And we got an email with Jim, like 5 or 10 questions.
Yeah.
Fill these out and we'll take it into consideration, but we didn't own that responsibility for quite some time. So looking at NJSBA's recommended evaluation template, it is much more effective and much more focused than what we've done in the past. So
I wouldn't have any opposition for that being decided at policy and personnel of what you guys
Yeah.
want to come out.
I have
We'll back
no
whatever.
problem with dictating it. I want to make sure that everybody's on
Perfect.
board.
Yeah, and I ask everyone to,
It's a
take
democracy
a little
over
time
here.
on it. It's not just good for the school. It's good for Jen to know what we're thinking and, to make sure that we're plowing the right course here.
Yeah, so
And then,
what I'll do is I'll send an email after this meeting. I'll include a link to the template. I think most of us have seen it, but I'll formalize that email. Then after this
fantastic, you heard it,
meeting,
Colleen's going to handle it.
I'll take care
Let's
of
move
it.
on.
I got it.
And then just giving an update on the policy and bylaw review updates. We switched to Strauss Esme. The Finance and Facility Committee has received their thousands of pages to overlook. Each committee has received it. And we're just giving an update to the community. Our hope is to complete a majority of this by July. The goal is to have these active for the start of next year. So we'll be seeing swollen agendas with multiple policies because we're be changing thousands of them or modernizing them is probably a better way of saying it. And that's it for the report. Any questions on any of that stuff? Easy breezy, lemon squeezy. Moving right along. Public comments. All comments shall be directed to the board president. The board will not respond to complaints to and from the school to and I can't believe I don't remember it. From and to school personnel unless the chain of command has been followed without satisfaction. Furthermore, the board cannot respond to any complaints from the public directed at any district employee or student, as the board must protect each employee and each student's right to privacy. Those wishing to share comments during this portion of the meeting are asked to sign the register at the podium, state their name, place of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. Public comment shall be concise and to the point and shall not contain abusive, defamatory, or obscene language. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes. Jeff's got nothing. Then we will end public. Want to riff about anything? It's worth a try. That'll end public comment. And moving on to facilities and finance. Mark explained everything and stepped through it. The only reason we're doing the March financial reports is because he was sick. We didn't get those through, the transfers, yada, yada, the price. He explained anything. Any questions specifically about finance and facilities? Easy, I'll take that one. This has to be, because it deals with money, this should be a roll call vote, right? Do a roll call vote.
You need a motion in a second.
Can I get a motion on, sorry, I just ripped up this. You get a motion on item 12, alpha through gamma. Can I get a second? Second, Colin with the second. Go ahead, Mark. You want to do a roll call or you just want me to do a voice vote? Let's do a roll call. Mix it up.
Mrs. Benkin,
Yes.
Mr. Sisson, Mrs. Cummins,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano,
Yes.
Mrs. Norton,
Yes.
Mr. Norton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Education and curriculum. Mrs. Naughton.
We have A, approval of professional day requests. The more they learn, the more we learn. B is approval of the YMC contract, which is our before and after care program. We're just approving it. C is the approval of the sale of the outdated Mac computers. Basically, the Mac computers, our laptops had, the tech deemed them outdated. So the administration is saying that we should just see if we can get some money from them, which is great. The preschool expansion aid, it's just submitting the budget to the New Jersey Department of Education for our preschool department in order to accept and implement aid. Mr. President, can I update the community on two things I have to brag about FTS? So I just wanted to update the community that today our third, fourth, and fifth graders handed their essays in for the annual Rural Awareness Essay Contest. Just for anybody who doesn't know, it's an annual contest that the Rural Awareness, I can never say it, Rural Awareness Organization does with our school. This year's question was, how different is your daily life in FTS today as compared to it was in 1776, celebrating the American Revolution for 250 years. They submitted their essays today. The winners will be announced and get to read their essays at FTS on June 11th. And there'll be 3 winners for each grade, as well as an overall grand prize winner. This is just really exciting. And also what's really exciting is the GT program is on that day is going to be putting a video up, right, of FTS, Franklin Township's history. So it's a whole collaborative of everybody. So I think that's fantastic. Another one I wanted to point out is, I don't know if everybody on the board is aware, Governor Murphy signed into legislation for all New Jersey public schools. They must teach cursive handwriting to students in grades 3 to 5 starting this upcoming school year. So our administration already picked out the curriculum for this, which is going to be Zaner Bloss, I think that's how you're saying it, for this program. I just wanted to update everybody about the handwriting program. One, it's my personal opinion that this is great because it works on their fine motor skills for our children. Fine motor skills for the children. They get to work on their signature, which a lot of the kids are really excited to actually do this cursive writing signature. And also they'll be able to read their grandmother's birthday cards. Which my children, I think they believed it was in a different language for a long time. So I think this is great for them. So that is my update for curriculum and education.
Any questions on curriculum and education?
I do.
Mrs. Quino.
It's actually for our board attorney, because we had spoken about the Gov, putting our outdated laptops on the Gov website. How long does it have to be on there before I can turnkey it and offer it to the teachers?
You're probably loud enough,
Okay,
but
there's no set period of time. I would say
Okay.
what's reasonable, maybe a couple weeks, something like that. If you don't get any takers, then you're free to do with them.
Okay.
as you
no
please.
precedent where somebody's been sued, no precedent where most.
As long as you make a good faith
people-
effort to dispose of them by getting money for them. And
Mhm.
then if you can't, you declare them obsolete. And then at that point, you can dispose of them however you see fit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. B, the after school program, the no cost, can you explain, is that typical? Schools don't charge for that, or is that, something that we're doing?
For the YMCA program?
Yeah.
We don't charge for them here. They have never, from my understanding, charged.
I don't think they have either, but I'm
For
asking
them to
like,
be here.
now that we're in this kind of financial situation that
Well,
we're in, we're
we-
charging for,
Last year, we did look into this. We contacted another provider to see if they would come in and give us what they could offer us and if there were a cost. And they were very nice and very friendly, but we didn't have enough students for them to sustain the program here. So since we have so few students in the before and after care program, if we were to charge money, did we bring this to finance?
We
or no?
discussed this, yeah.
If we charge YMCA, it only goes to our students. Then they're gonna the increase of pay for the kids to stay is gonna, am I saying that?
No, you're right.
clearly?
The charging of the facility might create an expense that's too high to supply it to
Continue
the
the
9
program.
kids at the school that use it. So there's a real world that if we charge, let's call it market rate of what it is, they would just pull the program, and then the 9 kids lose out on the opportunity.
Right.
It's not, there's not enough, the way I said it, there's not enough oil for the pump. If this was a program of 50, 60 kids,
Different
maybe
story.
it's worth us going after and trying to
Right.
make a revenue source out of it. But creating the revenue source might remove the service. But that's just what we discussed in finance and facilities.
Understood. Thank you.
But great question.
Mhm.
Yeah, whatever we can get a dollar out of is totally worth a conversation.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Great. Do I hear any objections on curriculum and education? Any abstentions? Then let's call that one passed by unanimous consent. Oh, I got to get a motion first. Can I get a motion? Thank you, Mark. Colin on the motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Jim on the second. Any objections, any abstentions, any problems? Then we'll call this one unanimous consent. And moving right along, policy and personnel, Mrs. Cummins.
This is me. We have staff appointments. We have employee resignations.
Mhm.
I will defer to Jen if anybody has questions on those. Staff leave of absences, same. I will defer to Jen to speak to those if anyone has questions. Our ESY program is not going to be able to be housed here on premises this year. We've talked about this in committee, but I wanted to make sure that we have brought it up in the larger group board meeting. As we come to June and as we start the summer, we all know we're going to have construction inside and outside. That said, we're also not partnering with another school as we have done in past years. So we need to make sure that we are staffing our ESY program. Jen is on top of both staffing and also physical placement of the students and staff for the summer. That is on our agenda to approve staff employees for ESY for the summer. And then we have additional job descriptions, very similarly to the last discussion that we had as a group. We are updating job descriptions to ensure that we are improving them to meet state expectations, identifying that we are grandfathering in anybody who is appropriately grandfathered under law, but otherwise excluding new candidates who are not grandfathered if they don't meet state residency requirements. So nothing critical. The job descriptions, I believe, were shared to the whole team for review, and the changes should align to what I just shared, which is the minor updates that we made to the previous job descriptions the last meeting. It's just another round of the same updates to make sure that we are keeping our documentation in alignment with state expectations. Any questions?
Do we know where the summer school is?
Clear? Yes, our extended school year program is going to be held at North.
At North.
Hunterdon.
Okay.
Yes. They've been gracious enough to work with us and let us use their facilities.
How does that work out with the preschool program too? Because the preschool we held at North Hunterdon too. They have a facility for a preschool.
Well, they don't
Like a
have,
classroom?
they have a facility.
Meaning like a classroom designated that's safe for children of the ages 3 to 5.
Yeah, we'll have to bring our stuff over to make sure that it fits for those students.
Gotcha. So it'd be a lot of taking our stuff and bringing it over.
Yes, which we did before. Last summer when I was here, we had it at Union,
Union,
and
yeah.
we still had to bring.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Stuff
aware of that.
over,
I just
so,
assumed they had it
yeah.
at Union. Okay.
And thank you to North for doing that.
Yes.
It's any port in the
Yes.
storm situation. I really
We have
appreciate it.
tried, just so the board knows, we have tried multiple districts to see if they would work with us and house us and share costs, and no, there were no takers. So North was our saving grace
And
there.
the summer program also it has transportation. So these children will be bused to North Hunterdon.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Great.
If no other questions, I just wanted to give a proactive thank you to this group of 6. We have so many pages to read in our policy manual overhaul, and getting eyes on it. I know Jen and Mark have been warning me. It's like this tall. It's a stack of papers this tall. But getting eyes on it directly took the pejorative down to, I guess, a very tangible understanding of how many pages we are tasked with owning over the next series of months. So I just wanted to thank this team in advance for all of the work that we are going to be doing and putting in to get that done.
And to Mark and Jen for, they
Having
really
already
did a
done
lot
it.
of this baking and all of this research. All
Yeah.
we have to kind of do is read and put our opinions to it. But they, it wasn't a small undertaking. It really was not. And
No.
when I received how many pages they wanted me to read, I promptly closed my phone and put my iPad down for a week. And I'll pick it up
That's a
next
lot.
week.
Yeah,
Um,
it really did put in perspective how much work Jen and Amelia and Mark
Oh, and
and
Amelia
the,
as well,
the
yeah.
team in general have already done in reading all of these pages before this group of 6 ever even touched them. So you're right, I owe our admin team a huge thank you as well. We got work to do over
You
the
worked
next
so
couple
hard,
of
Mark.
months,
Thank you.
but
Look at him smile. Look at that coy smile over there. Oh, who, me? Yeah, no, I do thousands of pages every day. No big deal.
I pick stuff up, I put it down, right? I read stuff, I mark it wrong.
Now you're just showing off. Moving right along.
Bragger.
Can I get a motion on item 14, Alpha through Echo? Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Sylvia and then Colleen. And since this has to do with personnel, this requires a voice vote. Roll call, excuse me, requires a roll call, Mr. Kramer.
Mrs. Binkin.
Yes.
Mr. Cecil. Yes. Mrs. Cummins.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Mrs. Norton.
Yeah.
Mr. Norton.
Yes.
Yes.
Item 15, communications, Mr. Cecil.
So during communications, I think we took a look through the existing communication platforms we have, what we've been changing over the last few months, timing and how it just what refinements can be made. Nothing dramatic there, but we want to take a look at it. There have been a number of possible changes to the website, but this has to be coordinated with the administration and when they have the time and availability to work on it. So we know that changes need to be made, but now is not the best time to be making.
Yeah, I think the consensus of the conversation was to get through the year and make the reconstruction of the website a summer thing rather than attempting to do it mid, so to speak. Any questions about communications?
I did have one question on communications, and it may not fall in communications, but it is website focused. On the website, Mark, we have legal notices and then we have a copy of legal notices. Okay.
I need to look into that. It makes no sense. I have no idea how that got up there. 3-4 weeks ago, it was only legal notice.
I thought so as well. And then I happened to be on NJSBA's 10 o'clock meeting earlier today, and I went, oh, let me go double check the website and make sure that everything looks good from a legal notices perspective. And I saw a copy of legal notices, and I went, well, maybe this is the archive, but I don't understand why, because it doesn't look like a proper archived space. That was my only call out for communications, just because it intersects with policy and communications. We do have a state mandate. I'm not sure if the whole board knows this, but we have a state mandate. It was signed into law by Murphy last year that we have to publish our legal notices on the board website. There are additional stipulations in the piece of legislation that he signed. But that's what drove me to look at it earlier today. And I don't know if you were also on that call.
I was.
You weren't, you just happened to be looking,
I was
well,
looking for something and
you saw it too.
actually I was going to policy and I'm like,
Where'd this come from? I had a where'd this come from moment myself, and I thought there might be some rationale. Maybe it was just named wrong, but if it's just a random copy, I guess we'll get that figured out. Okay.
And to
Thank
the
you.
tens and tens of people listening at home, the one thing that I'll convey that Colin's an expert on websites, and I'm going to dumb down some of his notes on the website and say it's awful in the way that it's scripted. Forgive me on I'm a nuts and bolts guy. I don't What's that?
Format.
It's format. It's a terrible formatting that we, through his help and administration's help, we're trying to dig out. But just as people go to the website, specifically if you're looking up Board of Education type of stuff, just give us a little grace as we try to figure it out. Some links go to nowhere, some links don't go to the right spot. And Colin promised that it'll all be fixed by August. If not, you could just reach out to him. But we appreciate
His
you doing.
email's on the website in case.
You can email him directly if you want his
But if
phone
it
number.
gets
Send me an
deleted, no
email.
one will know why.
But with that being said, we're just asking people to give us a little bit of, as we figure it out. And Colin, thank you for spearheading this, because some of your notes, I honest to God have no idea what you're talking about. So I assume it's right. Anything else for communications? Moving on, Township Committee Liaison, that's me. I will be honest and say I didn't attend that meeting. I missed it, but I did not hear any kerfuffle from neighbors after the fact. So I'll say nothing to report, and if something of substance comes up, I'll email everyone, but nothing to report. Mrs. Bankin, Northern Hunterdon County Educational Services Commission. That's a
And
mouthful.
also, thank you for leaning into this.
And thank you
as
for,
the
yeah,
alternate
thank you for
delegate.
picking up
You're
the stick and running with it.
I actually connected with them today, Heidi and Corinne, just to introduce myself and get a sense of what they do. And I have a meeting June 2nd. Good time.
I bet. And that's more of a quarterly type of.
Twice a year.
Twice a year?
Yeah.
Perfect. Moving right along. Any new business or board matters? Jim, go ahead.
Can we maybe look into sponsors we have the sponsorship policy now for the sports teams. Is there anything we can do to get some money in for the pay to play is kind of my point. I mean, I know, I feel like the 100 was like, okay, we kind of need it. Now, like, we're going up by 50 and what's going to happen next year. So like, it's something, it's for the kids, it's extracurricular activity. And I just don't want to see the costs like kind of get out of control. So is there any way we can, is there like a signage or something we can do for each sports team? Maybe like a local business wants to get involved, and even if it's $1,000 to help bring down the costs per team. Is there something we can do?
I think that's a great idea. If the goal is specifically attached to the sports end of things too, it makes the business sizes that we have in this community usable. So for example, Duke's Pizza could
Right, exactly.
sponsor
Exactly.
the
If it's small,
jerseys.
doesn't have-
Yeah.
not looking for.
There's no Merck Pharmaceuticals or
Right.
anything, but if there's a very specific goal to attempt to get 2 or 3 business owners to advertise on our jerseys,
Jersey or banner on.
Some banner, I was thinking banner, yeah.
field.
banner on
Yeah.
the fields.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a great idea.
You let us know
Definitely.
what your thoughts, chief.
No, I think that's a great idea. We certainly will reach out.
We'll turn that into a summer,
Definitely.
make a
summer.
summer project
Yeah,
out of it.
definitely
Okay.
summer.
Any other new business? Great, moving right along. Public comment. You're the lawyers here. If there's no one here to talk, do I have to read the public comment section? My man, you're worth it. You were worth the price of admission today. Oh, I have another one for you now that you're here. I have them here for the end of the meeting. There is no other business as well, right? We're flying through this today, so.
You didn't ask. for-
Oh,
You gotta
hey,
ask him.
Jeff, sure, I'll read 3 paragraphs for you to say something. All comments should be.
You did kind of stumble over it the last time. Do you
Well,
want a
because the
do-over?
pages, I'm used to using my computer. I haven't read
That's
off of
offering you a
dead
do-over.
trees in 10 years. Noteworthy dates. Our next board meeting is scheduled for May 6, 2026 at 5:30 PM. Just a note. Go ahead, brother.
I just want to elaborate on that. It's also a public hearing for the budget. I just
Correct.
wanted to note that.
And it'll also be the interview processes for
That's a
the
big
new
one.
board.
And
So,
we
It's
have
gonna
our
be a long
presentation, our budget presentation.
and we have a budget presentation too. So crock pot dinner
Yep.
is probably the best way of saying it, or eat early. That'll be a long one. And since we have Mark with a C here, Robert's rules, you got to say, me and Mr. Kramer have been going back and forth. Robert's rules says you can end a meeting. I know you're gonna take it off yet.
Are you gonna have this fight in public? Okay.
We pay good money to our attorney to get good answers. Oh, damn. All right. I respect that type of confidence. Robert's rules says that you can adjourn a meeting when the agenda has fully been completed, and that can be adjourned without a vote.
He just wants to hit his gavel.
Do we have to vote every time we adjourn the meeting when we get to the end of the agenda? And don't look at Mark.
It's my understanding that the answer, I can tell you, I've never been asked the question before.
Fantastic. That doesn't bother me.
Number two, in every district I represent, there is a motion to adjourn.
But that's not an answer. Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
It's
okay.
an answer, it's just not.
I'm sorry to waste your time, guys.
So your point, Matt, is that when the meeting agenda is over, technically, as long as.
There's no need for another vote anymore. You've reached the end of the agenda. It's definitely in Robert's rules. As I forget friends I grew up with and street names from my childhood because I had to read that entire book. So, all right, with that being said, since we reached the end of the agenda,
He's gonna hit that gavel and call it done if you don't tell him not to.
I recorded the minutes.
how much does it cost? I get that.
How much
Give
is
me
it gonna
30
cost
seconds.
the lawsuit? Is that the question?
This doesn't bother me at all. This debate has been going on for 4 months and that we're spending good money now to solve it.
Good money.
I know, right?
It does not
I'm the
seem-
worst.
It does not. Matt seems to be correct. I'll read it verbatim. It does
Please
not
do.
seem to require a
Everyone,
vote.
ears up.
Ready?
Pay attention to the
It
man.
says, when the meeting is completed, its work, the chair says, is there any further business?
Is there any further business?
And then the chair says, since there's no further
This-
business, the
since-
meeting is adjourned.
Since there's no further business, meeting adjourned. Thank you, Mark.